Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back. Today's video is going to be about things you should know before you get into nursing school. I get a lot of questions, a lot of different questions. What does it mean to be a nurse? How many hours do nurses work? How much do nurses make? What shift is better, night shift or day shift? Where do nurses work? Just so many questions, and I have compiled a whole bunch of answers so that I can answer them in this video. So if you want to know who nurses are and what they do and all of that other good stuff, then please stay tuned for the video. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Mercy. I am a BSN RN, and on this channel I talk about nursing, lifestyle, beauty. I do a little bit of vlogging. I talk about feminine hygiene, and I just talk about a whole bunch of things. So if you would like to join my family, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below, and also hit the bell notification button so you will never miss another video from me again. And for my return viewers, I like to say welcome back. Okay, so we have a lot of grounds to cover today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the video. So I always get questions from you guys from Instagram, here on YouTube, in the comment section, in my personal email, on Facebook, on Snapchat, just everywhere. You guys have different questions that you ask me about nursing, and the thing is, I've said this before in a lot of my videos, but I'll say it again. If you have sent me a message and I haven't responded, I promise you I'm not ignoring you. I get a lot of messages, and as you guys know, I started out really small, and recently here I've been gaining a lot of subscribers, and a lot of you guys have questions. Sometimes I get up to 30 or even 40 messages, and sometimes also if it's the same question over and over, I just wait until I make a video to answer it all at once. So if you have sent me a message, I'm not ignoring you. I promise I will get to you as soon as possible. For those of you who are wondering what the heck is going on with my hair, I just have my natural hair in a simple ponytail because I didn't want to do too much for this video today. So now that we've gotten everything out of the way, let's actually get into the video. If you've ever wanted to go into nursing but wasn't sure what the hours were like, what the pay was like, what the nursing environment is like, the rules, the regulations, some of the laws, all those questions that you may have, I'm gonna do my best to answer them to the best of my abilities in this video. So please stay tuned, and please watch the video till the end so that you don't miss anything. So the first thing I want to talk about is, how do you become a nurse? Believe it or not, this is one of the most common questions I get from people. How do you become a nurse? This might seem like a silly question to some people, but this is actually an important question. Some people just don't know how to get into nursing. Some of you out there are like me, who didn't have any family members or anybody in nursing, and you may want to go into the health field and you just don't know where to start. So that's why I think this is a good question. And from my experience, I would say that in order to become a nurse, the first thing you need to have is a high school diploma, a GED, or something equivalent to that. That is a requirement for every nursing school. You have to have at least a high school diploma or GED. Once you get that, the next thing to do is to take the entrance exam. The entrance exam is different for every school. You take the entrance exam. If you pass the entrance exam, then you get into the nursing program. It can be the LPN program, which is licensed practical nurse. It can be the ADN program. It can be the BSN program. It can be a master's degree program. Whatever it is, you apply. If you get accepted, you take the entrance exam. If you pass that, then you start the nursing program. Once you get into the program, you take all the required classes. You attend all the clinicals that is required for that specific program. After that, you go through a graduation, you take the state boards, which to me is one of the most important parts of this whole process. If you pass the state boards, then you get a license, and then you can practice as a nurse. So that is a quick rundown of how to become a nurse. The next question I always get asked is, do nurses only work in the hospital? No, nurses do not only work in the hospital. There are thousands, and I mean thousands, of nursing jobs. You can be a school nurse, and that means sitting in the office where all the students come to you and see you when they're sick, or if they get cut on the playground or whatever. You can also be a school nurse for a disabled child or a child with some medical issues. So it can be a one-on-one thing where the nurse goes to school with that one patient, sit in the classroom with them. Maybe the patient has a seizure disorder or something like that. The nurse sits with that patient throughout the school day and takes care of every need that they have. So whether it means suctioning that patient, whether it means means giving them their seizure medication, helping them understand what the teacher is saying, whatever it is. That's another form of school nursing that nurses can do. Nurses also work in the hospital, and there are different specialties in the hospitals that nurses can do there. Nurses also work in prisons. Nurses work in mental health clinics and hospitals. Nurses work in offices. Nurses work in the community. Nurses work everywhere. Nurses work even in the sky. Like, there are flight nurses that their job is to pick up the patient, fly with them to the hospital, and then provide care for them while they're in the airplane or whatever. So there are tons and tons and tons of nursing jobs. Some nurses never have to touch patients. Some nurses work from home. Some nurses work in schools. Some nurses are education nurses, so they teach other nurses to become nurses. I mean, I think I've exhausted the list at this point. There are many nursing jobs. Another question I get a lot is, how many hours do nurses work? This can vary depending on hospitals, facilities, private owned clinics. The hours can vary. So the typical one that everyone knows about, especially when it comes to the hospital, are 3 12-hours. So you work 3 days out of the week and you have the 4 days off. Now these 3 days can be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It can be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. It can be Monday, Friday, Sunday. I mean, you get the point. Especially when you're a new nurse, you don't have seniority, so usually you don't get the best schedule. You go by what the need is for that unit. So the people who've been there longer, the people with more experience, usually they have more of a set schedule because they have earned it, right? They have worked there for a very long time and they have certain perks and certain benefits of being there for so long. But for the new people, you normally get the schedule that you are given. I know from working in the hospital, my schedule was never the same, and that used to annoy me so much. I could work one schedule this week, work another schedule next week, and work another schedule after that, and sometimes even a month from now. You don't know what your schedule is going to be like, so you can't really plan anything. That's the only part I used to hate, because let's say you have a vacation you want to take or a family function, you don't know what your schedule is going to be like unless you're really tight with the scheduler and you go and talk to them or whatever. But usually the schedules are made for every 2 months. So for 2 months you have a schedule, but it's never the same day. You're never working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you're off. No, the schedule is always different. Like, you can work different schedule, as I said, this week, a different one next week, and yeah, it can go from there. There are also nurses who work 40 hours. Most times these are clinic nurses and nurses that are outside of the hospital setting, but there are nurses in the hospital who work 5 days a week. So you do your 5 8-hour shifts and it's equivalent to 40 hours. The nurses who do 3 12-hours, they work up to 36 hours, and that's the full-time, I guess, hours for nurses. You only have to work up to 36 hours to be considered full-time versus other jobs where you have to work 40 hours. There are also 4 10-hours. Some nurses work 4 days for 10 hours a day to get 40 hours. The schedules can be very different depending on who you talk to, but the two most common schedules are 3 12s or 5 8s. So now let's talk about nights, weekends, and holidays. A lot of nurses, new nurses, work night shift. Why? Again, it goes back to seniority. Your more experienced nurses or your nurses who have worked on that unit longer than you have are going to have the best schedule, and that means they're going to have day shifts. A lot of new nurses get hired for night shifts because that's the shift that a lot of the older people don't want to do, so the new people get stuck with those shifts. But there's always a silver lining to all of this, because working nights can be very, very hard on the body. It can be hard to switch back to days, because imagine if you work 3 nights back to back. When you get off of work, it is morning time. That's when everybody else is functioning. You have to force yourself to go to sleep, and if you're anything like me, the littlest noise will wake you up. And then not only do you have to force yourself to sleep all day, you also miss a lot of family function, especially if you're a family oriented person, or if you have a lot of kids that have a lot of daytime activities. You miss a lot of that because you're stuck sleeping. Because with these 12-hour shifts, the only thing you can do is literally work and go home. 12-hour shifts are not really 12-hour shifts. They can be up to 14 hours. I've stayed on my unit for up to 14 hours, sometimes even 15 hours. It depends on what's going on. So if you had a busy day and let's say something weird happened and you couldn't chart all day, after your 12 hours and 30 minutes, because you have to add lunch, so that's 12 hours and 30 minutes. After that, you have to stay back and chart on every single patient. And if you work on a floor like med surg, that means up to 5 or even 6 patients. You have to chart on all of them. That can take an hour and a half, or 2 hours. Or if you have a fall or something, falls are the biggest no-nos in the hospital. Like, we do not like falls. Falls are bad things. Like, the day you have a fall, you are going to do so much paperwork, and it's usually after the shift is over. So then again, your shift is over, you've already worked 12 hours and 30 minutes, and now you have to chart, and you also have to fill out paperwork about the fall, like what happened, why it happened, who was there, what can be done differently, a whole bunch of things you have to chart. And then you have to factor drive time. So if you live 30 minutes away, that's another 30 minutes added. So literally, when you work 12-hour shifts, there's nothing you can do but go to work, come home, take a shower, eat, go to sleep, and repeat the next day. So that's basically what working nights look like. But the good thing about working nights is the pay is better. They compensate you for the inconvenience of working nights. There's also less management. All the managers and all the important people, they go home when it's nighttime. But the nurses who work nights, that is a good thing for them, because I've worked nights and I've worked days. You have the doctors walking around, you have some residents, you have the patients' family members visiting, you have all the managers on the units, you have so many eyes on you. You just feel like you have to be perfect and do everything perfectly, and that can add a little bit of pressure. But at nighttime, all those important people go home. The managers, most of the doctors are home. The family members don't come and visit at night unless it's like a special case or something like that. So usually you only have your nurses and other staff members working on night shift. So the pressure and the I guess anxiety is much lower on night shift. For some reason, night shift workers are also more team oriented, and they're nicer to each other because they're more relaxed, they're more friendly towards each other. Day shift people can be a little mean, and you can't blame them because, as I said, there's management everywhere. There's so much pressure to do all these things, and day shift is much busier than night shift because that's when all the patients are up and they're functioning, their family members are around, and there's just so much going on, and the nurses don't even have time to hang out with each other or create friendships. So a lot of times nurses on day shift are, you know, colleagues. They know each other, they know that they're co-workers. But nurses on night shifts are friends. They do things together. They even become friends outside of work. So that is a perk about working night shift. So let's talk about holidays. Holidays is one of the things too that really gets me. I don't know if I've told you guys this before. I think I mentioned it in one of my old videos. Christmas is my favorite holiday. Even when I was young, growing up here and back home in Africa. I remember the first year I became a registered nurse. I was working at the hospital, and during that time, it was my holiday to work. So first of all, let me explain this. When you work in the hospital, especially when you're new, again, all the old people get the favors, but the new people always have to compensate for what's not being done. So you will work holidays. So for example, if you work Christmas and Thanksgiving this year, next year someone else is going to work Christmas and Thanksgiving, but you're going to work the other holidays that that person does not work. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're not gonna skip working a holiday. If you spend Christmas with your family this year, next year you're not gonna spend Christmas with your family because the other nurse who didn't get to spend Christmas with her family is going to get to spend Christmas with her family. I remember when I became a new nurse, that first year it was my holiday to work, and the holiday that I had to work was Christmas. I had to work that Christmas day, and I was so sad because I love being with my family, sharing gifts, and just hanging out with them. So this time I didn't have the luxury to do so because I had to work per my schedule. So I was kind of sad. But the thing about working on holidays is, as I said, there's always a silver lining. Working on holidays means that you're gonna get either double pay or pay and a half. So double pay means if you get $20 an hour on a regular basis, this time you get $40 an hour, or time and a half would be $30 an hour. And also, the more you work, the more PTO or pay time off you're accumulating to be able to take a vacation later. The third good thing about working on the holiday is that although you're sad and bummed out about working that day, the people who are there feel exactly the same way. So they try to create like a family environment, or, you know, they try to create a similar experience as they would if they were home. So there's a lot of cooking that goes on. People bring food. There's a potluck. People buy each other presents. I remember the year I had to work, we made Christmas cards for the patients who were there. So we just grabbed some, papers out of the printers. We took our time and wrote Christmas cards for the patients, and we went from room to room and gave them candy canes and the Christmas card. And the patients were so happy, especially the ones who didn't have families visiting them. So that's another perk. You get to do that for someone. And also, for some reason, working on the holiday, the work day is slower than it would be normally because there's just not a lot going on. For some reason, it's just calmer and chiller. Is that a word? I don't know. But yeah, so that's some of the perks of working on holiday. Weekends. Let's talk about weekends. You will work on weekends. From my experience, you work every other weekend or 2 weekends a month, which is basically every other weekend. This is a bummer because, again, you're gonna miss a lot of function. If your cousin's wedding falls on the weekend you have to work, you're gonna miss it. Unless you want to call off, and there's a whole bunch of things that goes into that. There are baby showers that you're gonna miss. There are birthday party, clubs, and all kinds of things that you're gonna miss on the weekends that you work. So if I work this weekend, you're going to be off. If you're working that weekend, I'm going to be off. But again, on the bright side, weekends are much slower than weekdays. And secondly, there are shift differentials for weekend workers. So you get more money just because you work the weekend. Okay, so let's talk about things you actually do as a nurse. This is going to be different depending on where you work. So if you're in a clinic, your skills and tasks might be different. If you're in the hospital, it might be different. If you're a travel nurse, it might be different. If you're a home health nurse, it might be different. But overall, nurses do basically the same thing. So nurses administer medication. So it can be orally, it can be via a G tube, it can be via a nasogastric tube, it can be through IV, it can be in many ways. But your job as a nurse, one of the primary jobs of nurses is to administer medications. Nurses also do treatments. So sometimes it can be breathing treatments, it can be chest percussion treatments, it can be vest therapy. It just depends on where you work. Usually in the hospital, the RTs take care of this, which are respiratory therapists. But if you work in a facility where there's no respiratory therapist, usually the nurses do that. I know when I work home health, if my patient needs a breathing treatment or vest therapy or cough assist or any of those things, I do them because you're the primary nurse there. So nurses give medications, they do treatments, nurses educate. If a patient doesn't know about a certain disease process or a certain medications or their plan of care, whatever it is that they need to be educated on, that is one of your job as well. You have to educate them on their medications, how to take it, when to stop taking it, what to look out for, when to not take a medication, just all those things. As a nurse, you are going to clean poop. I know a lot of people have the mentality of, if I went to school for all these years, I'm not going to clean anybody's poop. Well, nursing may not be for you, because if you're a nurse, again, depending on where you work, you're going to clean poop. If you're working a primary case as a home health nurse, you are going to clean poop because no one else is there. Sometimes there's no family members, there's nobody there, it's just you and the patient. So if the patient has a bowel movement, who's going to clean them? You are, because that is part of your job. Even at the hospital, if your patient has a bowel movement, sometimes the PCA needs help and you have to go and help them. You can't say, I'm a nurse, I'm not going to clean poop. Again, it's not written in your contract, but it is part of your job and you have to do things like that. You have to clean urine. You have to clean a lot of bodily fluids. You have to deal with blood. You have to deal with some secretions. You have to deal with mucus. You just have to do a whole bunch of stuff as far as the patient goes. Depending on what the patient's disease process is, you have to be a part of caring for them. Again, silver lining. There's a lot of way to deal with these kind of things, because you may say, oh, I have a big problem with the smell of bowel movement or the sight of blood or this and that. There's a lot of things you can do. If you don't like the smell of bowel movement, which last time I checked nobody does, put on a mask or spray something underneath your nose. I've done that before. If it's a smell you like or something that is really calming for you, I usually just put it underneath my nose. You can double glove, and this is a pro advice. Always double glove when you clean bowel movement, because sometimes the gloves can break. And the worst thing in the world is when your glove breaks and you touch the things you don't want to touch. So if it's something explosive or if it's something very, very messy, always double glove, because you'll have that second layer of protection. Also, what I've seen in a lot of my experiences is that nurses will team up with each other. So if you have a friend nurse that works on the same unit with you, let's say that nurse does not have a problem with cleaning bowel movement, but she has a problem with suctioning a patient and you're the other way around. If you have a patient that has a suctioning issue, you can tell the nurse, hey, if you suction this patient for me, I'll clean the bowel movement. If you clean up the blood off the floor, I will, clean up the urine off your floor. Or, hey, if you come in and help me do this, I'll help you do that. So kind of like a teamwork environment. Those are ways that you can deal with it. The only thing I don't advise is to tell another nurse to give medications that you have already signed for, or give medications that another nurse had signed for. You can get in huge trouble for that. If it's something simple like giving Tylenol and you're busy and you can't go to that room, you can ask another nurse to administer it, but make sure that they pull the medication out of the Pyxis under their name and administer it under their name. Don't give a medication that you didn't pull, because the dosage may be wrong, the route may be wrong, so many things may be wrong with that picture. So never ever do that. The thing about doing the dirty work of nursing is you don't always have to think about it that way. A lot of these people who are in the hospital or nursing homes or extended living facilities, those are people who used to take care of themselves. Those are people who have their families, their fiance, their husbands, their kids. They used to do everything for themselves, and now they find themselves in situations where they're not able to function like they used to. So you don't have to look at it as, oh my God, I can't believe this patient just pooped herself, now I have to clean it. Trust me, if that patient had a choice, I'm 100% sure that they wouldn't be incontinent. If they could get up and go to the bathroom, or if they could control their bowel and bladder, they would do that, because it is embarrassing for someone else to come and do that for them. So you as a nurse, your job is to make them comfortable, make them understand that, hey, this can happen to anyone. Don't go in there so mad with the ugliest attitude and just make them feel worse than they already feel. It's only going to make your day longer, and it's also going to ruin that patient's experience. And trust me, patients always remember their experience. Patients are grateful to nurses who help them, and they will never ever forget the one nurse that was mean to them. So you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so let's talk about some of the not so fun part about being a nurse. Being a nurse is a great career, it's a great thing, but there are also some downside to being a nurse. When you're a nurse, some states up to this day still mandate their nurses to work overtime. And you might say, oh, overtime is a good thing because you get more money. Imagine working a 12-hour shift, you're already tired, you're already drained. Now it's time to go home, but you're being held back because there is a shortage. A lot of states still mandate their nurses to work up to 16 hours. This practice, I've never been in favor of it, because it is not only bad, it is also unsafe for you, the nurse, and also for the patient. When you're tired and you're overtired, there is a higher chance of medication error. There is a higher chance of you making other medical mistakes. There is a higher chance of you getting into a car accident on your way home because you're so tired and you feel like, oh, the red light is going to take about 5 minutes, so let me just close my eyes for 5 minutes. There is a higher chance for a lot of adverse things to happen. So states out there who still mandate their nurses to work overtime, it is so wrong, and I wish they can do away with that. Also, as a nurse, if there is a shortage on another unit, let's say you're used to working on your med-surg unit. You work there every day, you know everybody there. All of a sudden, another unit has a shortage. Sometimes you will be required to go and work on that unit. So if you're the kind of person who don't make friends easily, or you're very routine oriented, or you just don't feel comfortable working in other units, this is going to affect you, because again, if there's a shortage, they will pull you to that unit, and this is fair game for everyone. Another thing about this is you could be on call. So even though you're home, you're not really comfortable because you feel like they could call me in at any time, because if they do, you have to basically drop everything you're doing to go to work. So I don't really like that feeling. I've been on call a few times and I just don't like it. The silver lining with all of this is that if you do work more than the hours you're supposed to work, you're gonna get paid more. Another question I get a lot is, how many patients do nurses have? Again, I've already mentioned this. It depends on where you work. So if you work on a med-surg unit, you might get up to 6 patients, and I've heard more than that in some cases, but I would say up to 6 patients. If you work in critical care, you might get 1 or 2 patients. If you work in labor and delivery, you might be taking care of 1 mom and the baby, or you might be taking care of 2 moms, 2 babies. It just all depends on where you work. If you're working home care, it's only going going to be you and your patient. Usually it is primary care. And primary care just means that you do everything for that patient. So if the patient needs a bath, if they need medication, if they need their wound dressing change, if they need to be fed, if they need to be cleaned, you do everything because you are the primary caregiver for that patient. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about money. Nurses are not rich. This is a big misconception. I don't know if it's just social media that's made it this way or what it is, but when you tell people you're a nurse, they automatically think when you sweat money. When you breathe out money. When you shake somebody's hand, you leave money in their hand. Like, they just think there's money all around you. That is not true. Nurses make a comfortable living, especially depending on the degree of nursing you have, but it doesn't mean that you're rich. I know nurses on my unit who made close to $100,000 a year, but there's a lot of factors that plays into this. That nurse may be on that unit for over 20 years. Or that nurse may have a higher degree, or that nurse may be a charge nurse. That nurse may have a lot of certifications because that's how you can make more money. So if you're a med-surg nurse, you can get certified in med-surg and you can make more money that way. You can also get certified in all kinds of things because every certification you have, you're gonna get paid more. Also, another way to make more money, as I said before, is to work nights and weekends. You get a lot more money that way. Another way to get more money is to advance your degree. So an LPN makes less than an RN. A regular RN makes less than a BSN. A BSN makes less than someone who has a master's degree and so forth. But are all nurses rich? No. Nurses know how to make money. Some of them work 2, 3, 4 jobs. That's how they can make a lot of money, but it doesn't necessarily make them rich. Some nurses who make more money are travel nurses. Travel nurses make a lot of money, but with travel nursing comes a lot of sacrifice as well, because you have to travel so much and you have to be someone who gets comfortable really quick in a new environment, because as a travel nurse you're going to be going from state to state, from city to city, from hospital to hospital. So that's something you have to be comfortable with. And usually single people do this as well, because if you have your kid and your kid is in school, you can't just pack them up for 13 weeks and go work at a hospital in a different state and then come back. So usually people who do that are single people and people who don't have kids and stuff like that. There are a lot of ways to make money, but it's not the norm that every nurse out there is rich. So I think I've ran out of a lot of the questions that you guys had. So I just want to say overall that nursing is a great career. If I had the chance to do it all over again, I would choose nursing again and again and again. Nursing has a lot of job security. Nursing has a lot of job opportunities. You don't have to do one thing if you don't want to. There's a whole bunch of other things you can do. Nursing is one of the most respected and trusted profession in the whole world. There is a pride that comes with being a nurse because people trust you and they love you. Nurses also make a comfortable living. As I said before, nurses get a chance to make a great impact in other people's life on a daily basis. Nurses get a chance to save lives on a daily basis. Nurses are the heart of the hospital. Nurses are the heart of healthcare. Nurses are very important. And most of all, if nursing has always been your dream, being a nurse means that you get to live your dream. So there is a lot of great things that come with being a nurse. So I hope this video encouraged you guys. These videos are not meant to scare you guys. They're not meant to turn you away from nursing. They're just meant to be informative and educational for you guys. So if you guys like these kind of videos, go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you did like the video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so that you never miss another video from me again. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.